Hello, hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel for MDE tutorial, Microsoft Defender for Endpoint. And today we are going to talk about the app and browser isolation policy in Microsoft Defender for Endpoint. So let me start this video. So now I am under the MEM console, Microsoft Endpoint Manager, and let's go to the endpoint security. Under endpoint security, let's go to the attack surface reduction. So under the attack surface reduction, we're gonna create a policy over here. So now click on the create policy and select the platform Windows 10 and later. And here already we discussed about the attack surface rule reduction rule in my the last video. If you have not watched that video, just please go back and you can watch that video. So now the another policy I'm going to explain is app and the browser isolation. So here is the explanation about this app and the browser isolation. So let's just read it. Though Microsoft Defender application guard is the design to help the prevent old and the newly emerging attack and to help the keep employee productive. So actually this is going to help us to prevent the attack which is like new attacks or the old attacks which is over the internet is attacking over the internet. So now just create here, and I'm going to write it down, this policy, policy policy, and then go to the next. So here you can see in the policies the app and the browser isolation, turn on the application guard. So here is the explanation, and if you need the more details you can click on learn more and you will get the more details about why we need this policy. So basically if you enable this isolated Windows environment, I'm sorry, so how it gonna work it? If the enabled Microsoft as application guard and the unapproved site in the Hyper-V virtualization browsing container. So if you enable the isolated Windows environment, the application guard is turned on the any of application enabled for the application guard within the Windows. So basically this policy will help us to protect that the isolated environment or which is like a through over the um, edge, Microsoft Edge. And if you have any the isolated Windows environment, there you can apply this policy. So if the policy is applied it, so it will protect your the infra or your the application even though it's an isolated network. So when we talk about this the isolated it's a network, so you need to configure this before implementing this policy. You need to configure a network isolated area in your company that can be deployed through your GPO or even though through the Intune as well. So for how you can isolate it, you can create isolated area in your environment, that I will create a video soon. So now here let me go and select these options. And what does it mean? If you have selected the not configured, obviously that policy is not going to implement. That is like a this guard is application guard is not going to work. And if we have another option is a file for the Microsoft Edge, and how it's going to work, the application guard opens unapproved site in your the Hyper-V virtualization. And the another option is enable to the isolated Windows environment. So if you have the isolated Windows environment, you can select this option. And another is a for the combination both as and the isolated environment. So let's try to select this and see the what are the settings we can find out over here. Now another option we have like enabled for the isolated network environment. So what are the settings we can get? We don't have the nothing much, it just need to be configured here for the Windows isolated environment. So if you go here and you can add it like a your thumbprint of the certificate to the shares. So you need a thumbprint in that situation. But if you selected the both, then you will get the both the policies for the Microsoft Edge and the isolated Windows environment. So let's go to the enabled for the Edge. What are the settings? We can get it over here. Let me, okay, so is it same? Fine, we'll come back on the settings. So how the settings is going to work here, let's try to understand this one by one. The clipboard behavior in the Microsoft is only. So if you have selected this option for the clipboard, so how it will work? Block copy and the paste between the PC. So this policy, if you've applied, then it will block the data if you are copy pasting from your the PC to the browser or browser to the PC. And the another thing is a allow copy or paste from the PC. Copy paste from the PC only. Browser from browser to the PC. If you select this option, then you can copy paste data browser to the PC only, but you cannot copy paste the data from PC to the browser. And here is the option like copy paste from PC to the browser and allow the copy paste in between the PC to the browser. So what the Microsoft has suggested to just select the allow copy paste between PC and to the browser. Now here is another option is for this allowed allowed this camera and the microphone access in the Microsoft is only. So we're gonna select it no. And here is a block the external content from the known enterprise sites from the Microsoft is only. So we are not gonna select it here. What does it mean? You can read it from here. The block content from the unapproved site from the loading. The policy setting is the supported for the Microsoft Guard and the Microsoft Edge only. So how it does going to work? The block external content from the known enterprise website. So it will block all the known enterprise website in your the environment. Now here is the collect the logs file, collect log for the event that occur and the application guard session. So yes, we're gonna collect the logs file. Now here is a allow user generated browser data to saved by the Microsoft is. So that will be good. Select yes. Enable the hardware graphics acceleration for the Microsoft. So this is we're not gonna select it. The reason is why, because it's suppose allow the user data is like password favorite cookies. It will store the user data to store there the password inside your the favorite or the cookies, and it created during the application guard virtualization session is saved. The policy setting is supported for this Microsoft Edge only. So if you have configured if you have selected the yes, then it will store the data inside the browser, inside the browser for like your cookies and the favorite. So we are not going to store the user data here. Let's understand this. The enable the hardware graphics and the acceleration for this Microsoft. So now here is the next option is a hardware graphics acceleration. If you click the iconic button, so load the graphics in intensive the website the faster than the working within the application card, the browser session enabling the virtual graphics processing unit. So it depend on up to you if you wanna click yes or no. And here as well, if you want to save the browser setting, yes or no. So I usually recommend it no, but if you like it, you can select yes. So here is the user allowed to download the file from the onto the Microsoft onto the host. So can say yes. And here is the option which is shows like a application guard allow use to root certificate authority from the user devices. So how it going to work? If you have the root certificate for the user devices that you can distribute in the every devices for in your infra by using the group policy. Or if you have that the thumbs printing, then you can put it here the thumbs printing value by using the comma. So you can put it the thumbs printing value. So for the moment I don't have any of the thumbs printing with me, which I need to deploy on the end user devices. So that is the thumbs printing of the certificate to share. So you're not having, so you're not going to use it. And here is like application guard allow to print to the local printers. So if you want to be the application guard will allow for the local printer, so you can see yes, or it again up to you how you're gonna set up your the settings. Up to you how you're going to set up it. Allow for the local printer, allow the guard print to the network printer, allow the guard, allow the, so all these things are able to for the print settings if you want to configure it. And here is a network isolation policy. If you want to configure that the network isolation policy here, that you can define that network isolation policy as well. So that the network isolation policy is something, if you define your the network IP range, based on the IP range, based on the cloud resources, based on your the network domain. If you have the network domain, so you can put it here, over here. Like I have the domain once usclouds clouds dot on msc or microsoft.com. And even I have the another network that is called, yeah, another network that is in my the on-prem, that is called once.com. So that's I'm giving the isolation network setting over here. So now once you have done it, you can define your the other things, the proxy server. What are the proxy server you are using in your environment? The internal proxy server. So I don't have any of the proxy server or internal proxy server in my lab. So all these settings you can define it based on your the requirement. But for this lab, I want to configure, not to configure it, but just I show you how you can do that, or how you can assign your the network isolation policies. So now once we done all these settings and we are good to deploy the settings, just let's go to click on the next. And now tags, let it be, and now go here. And now let's try this policy. So now assign to your the test group first, and once your the testing is done, then you can start deploying into the production. So now here is app browsing settings. Let's go and just select it. I have the one device in this user, and let me go back and just show you the one more thing. Or here, this part you can done with the GPU and from here as well. So the Microsoft recommendation is better deploy this network isolation policy with your the group policy. So when you are deploying this app and the browsing setting, before that only your the network isolation policy will be available on the devices. That would be the best practices. If you don't have any of the GPU and you are not create the isolation policy in your environment, better to create it first. And if you don't want to create with the GPU, or you don't have the GPU, you're not using the GPU, then in that case you can go with this option. Now let's go and just deploy the setting and just click create. So now this policy is deployed to the on the test machine, and let me go to the test machine, and here you can sync the policy, so that policy will deployed on this machine, and then we can test it. So anyway, we have not logged anything in this machine, so I'm not 100% sure I can show you the complete testing for this scenario or not. But when you are into the production, your machine fully configured, and uh, you can just test it the val in your the network. So now you can sync the policy once you've done it, and then you can do the testing. So guys, thank you for watching this video. I will be coming up with a new video, new ideas, and the new technology in my the coming soon video. Thank you so much.